Hey, someone asked me when I said I'm a civic nationalist, what is that? What do you mean? I'm like, I had to think about it, and I thought, well, I don't want to just make up terms. But I looked where I read the term from, which was Wikipedia, and basically I'm just using Wikipedia terms. So, judge it accordingly. And there's three types of nationalists. There's civic nationalists, there's cultural, well, there's a whole bunch of nationalists, but there's civic nationalists mainly, cultural nationalists, and ethno-nationalists. You know who that is. Right, those people. And it's like, civic nationalists or liberal nationalists care about individualism, liberty, freedoms, and all the good things, and you don't have to share a culture or a state to participate. Anybody who's like-minded can join. And where, and I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, well, I don't know, because that's a high ideal, but that's honestly really, I'm not sure I'm there completely. I'd like to be there, but I'm not sure I'm there. Ugh. And it's like, okay, because with cultural nationalism, it's the idea that you have a shared history, language, or heritage. And that doesn't necessarily include race or genes. You could have a genetically diverse group that's still cultural nationalism. And I think I drift more towards there. I hear things like Team America, and I'm like, ooh, America, and it's like, well, honestly, I'd like to be the former and just be a liberal nationalist, but I always associated nationalism with a unity of nation, your constituency, your shared values of a border and a group, whatever that border and group was. So I don't know how, as a civic nationalist, you could have anyone who wants to join. That doesn't make sense to me. If you're a nationalist, you believe in a nation. So how can that be open-ended? Borderless? I don't know. Maybe something to do with immigration. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that point. But, so, I kind of, as an American, support cultural nationalism more, I think. I know, not more, but tending towards it than just strict liberal nationalism. And, that dirty, evil, N-word, nationalism, ooh, because you say nationalist, everybody goes, oh, Nazi. Oh, you're a Nazi, I see now. I've stepped away from politics pretty much in everything but strictly defined terms anyway. So, who cares? I don't even want to talk politics in the Biden era, you know. But then again, there's ethno-nationalism. And you might think, well, what possible value, importance, or anything of worth could you say about ethno-nationalism? And I've heard it said by some people, even some people I follow on YouTube who have been identified as other people I follow on YouTube as white nationalists, or, white supremacists. They don't say nationalists, because that would undermine their thing. They're supposed to be the nationalist. Yeah, Nation of Israel, not us. And whoop, 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 can't say that, whoop, whoop, Always, alert time, somebody's being anti-Semitic, whatever, right? But the one thing the friggin' ethno-nationalists say, the ones that are still soft selling it on YouTube, is they say race is tied with culture. It's the okay to be white crowd. And it's like, I buy their points. I admit it. But those are lures. Because they add on predetermined conclusions once you've accepted the premise. Even if it is just emotional or ideological. Well, I agree with this, so maybe that isn't wrong. And it's like, well, maybe it is, and one example of that is like race is tied with culture. First you might say, no, Hans, you are the baddie. Race is not tied with culture. But that brings up something that used to be discussed on YouTube called racialism. And of course that got called racialism is real racism, and it's like, I'm not disagreeing that might be true, and racism is bad. But with everything being called racism and the way we have dealt with things and the ways that things are on social media now, I don't know what kind of communist you people are freaking at. I guess I'm okay saying some of the stuff because I'm effectively shadow banned anyway. So and they've already had the socialist coup. That's what the Biden administration is, mind you. Just like George Epstein didn't kill himself. Sure. Did I just make the white privilege? Oh my God, I thought that was a West Coast rapper thing. I've been on YouTube too fucking long. I mean, it's like, yeah, it is okay to be white. But this is the point I'm trying to get back at, is that is race tied with heritage? Well, they say another thing. Evolution doesn't stop from the neck up. But if we're going to go on that premise, why not follow it all the way through? if we're going to talk about race and racial behavior, then it only begs the next question is, in human behavior, even if it's divided by race or not, why are human beings even different than the animals? Why do we even behave this way? And where the hell did race even come from? Different ethnicity. They say it's all a blend. And it's only different because people traveled and moved and, and the contrasts were there because of people's migrations, conquest, genocides, the whole history fun stuff, right? And it's like, mergers, conglomerations, trade support. You're going from friggin' cavemen to friggin' West Indies friggin' tea company, or the English thing that almost took over the whole world. Colonization, And it's like, how does behavior of the human species affect the idea of race, wherever that came from, and biology, and why we are what we are? What is that? Social biology. Oh my God, look that term up. And it's like, I honestly think that there are issues that we can't get to scientifically because there's a point where culture, science, religion, and cultural science, religion all come together to a point where it becomes subjective. Or education, which is science. And it's like, okay, we can't make an objective, rational, scientific opinion because everything is so subjective about it. The new boss is just like the old boss in the establishment. The left is the new establishment now. And, okay, that's not good. But at the same time, it really makes, I've looked this up. I've tried to find out, okay, what is race? Obviously French people, for example, are French people. But before France, where was the French people? I thought Cleopatra was black. At first you thought she was Egyptian, but Egyptians were old as time by the time Cleopatra was, and she wasn't black. She was supposed to be Helician or something like that, which was kind of a Greek. But would even a Greek or Roman or anybody be the same ethnotype as they would be now, or 100 years ago, or 1,000 years ago? Why would they be? And can that even count as the same type of people? Are the Jews from the Bible the same people as now? And I don't even know what to say about that Anastasi thing. I haven't looked it up. But you see what I'm saying? If race is tied with behavior, then what does that say about culture and everything I just talked about in this video now? As a skeptic, and I admit a cynic in a way, which is not objective as it should be, I have to say that it doesn't matter what I feel. It matters the truth, but maybe the truth is something we can never get to. And that's why I oppose all this PC bullshit, because it's bullshit. And yet, anything else that comes with it might also equally be bullshit, because you can't get to that point. You can only get as close as you want. It's like I said, Aristotle, and the shadow on the cave wall kind of thing. You can see the shadow, but you can't see the light behind you. It's something like that. I don't know. And, because one thing, and I could be getting this, I'm probably getting a lot of this wrong, but, pre-thought, for what it's worth, and it's like, human beings are supposed to be a conglomeration of different hominids. We know we have Neanderthal blood, but some of those 6 to 8 type of hominids didn't just kill each other off or die off from being outcompeted. Like all hominids, they incorporated. They bred. You know, quest for fire kind of thing. So, my suspicion, which is probably not true if you look at the genetics, they say 3% of friggin' people are Neanderthals. I don't think so. I think white people are Neanderthals. You know? And they weren't the brutish people they were. They were a type of frigging, we're not all one species. Well, we are now, but, I mean, we're a conglomeration of various species. I mean, you look at different ethnicities and different people, like some people, some races, like American Indian, I think Asian, other people, they're almost all, some of them, or however, you know, whoever, just for example, they're completely almost lactose intolerant. But we're Europeans, we can drink milk day and night. And this is from, like, the idea that we started out in a fertile crest and we moved horizontally where the animals and the crops didn't die off because they were in the same temperate zone, and we gained an advantage there. This is in the book Gun, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond. And we gained a calorie advantage there, and that put us ahead of the game from other people who had to friggin' constantly go out and get food every day. Instead of us, where we could specialize, that put us ahead of the tech game. You know, hoes, horses, oxen, wheat, agriculture, that tech game. You know, the Stone Man tech game. People who made freaking weaving baskets. I mean, you know, the Big Bang Theory. It just, you know, the whole intro. It just everything that freaking, like James Burke, connections. You know, that would be something to consider. Or a lot of what Carl Sagan talked about. And it's like, from all that, it's like, how do you even anything? I mean, I don't even know what to say about freaking civic nationalism, cultural nationalism, or ethno-nationalism. I sure don't agree with the goddamn Nazis, because they're full of shit. That's 19th century science that's complete crap. That freaking is, encased in freaking a retro freaking fascist mindset that everyone kind of hems and haws and knows isn't really true. It just seems like if you don't choose one ideology, you're choosing another. And, anybody who isn't being called a Nazi is probably calling someone else a goddamn commie. Echoes of the past. It's just echoes of the past. And science where science can't reach. So no, I generally consider myself a civic nationalist because with a little bit of cultural nationalism in it, because I think you need borders, and I don't accept ethno-nationalism because it's failed science. And even if I might agree that there's a little bit of frigging truth to heritage might be connected to race, how or why or what is like, it might be impossible to find out scientifically. So maybe we'll evolve into a species who can figure some of this stuff out and won't freaking annihilate ourselves once we actually get into freaking space. Maybe the Drake equation where it says, why does potentially space-faring civilizations go extinct is because once they get away from freaking the world, they get in an expanse TV show-like scenario where the Cold War becomes hot again. And they end up blowing up their planet, and then they die off because the colonies die off because they don't have a home world to freaking deal with. So yeah, civic nationalism is what I believe, because hopefully we will become a people who can hopefully solve our problems. And if that puts me in a bad light at times, well, you've heard it all right here. And that's why. As far as I can understand it, what I can understand, and anything that any of that might have made any sense to anyone. And that's why I don't do politics anymore. But yeah, for whatever, I'm a civic nationalist. I think we need a border state. I also support futurism. And generally, I'm a cultural libertarian because I don't believe in the nanny state either. On social issues, I see a lot of this, even freaking online censorship, as just socialism, just closing the trap. Especially as a futurist, some of the possible futures that we might be stumbling into that really seem frigging dark to me. Like, kiosk frigging totalitarianism. You know, everything's a kiosk. Everything's got to be signed. No one's there. Hello? You know, oh, you banged on the machine too hard. Oh, now the freaking people will help you. No, they're not here to help you. They're just here to help you get away from the machine and go sit in another box and answer another machine. Oh, wow. You know, you get in the hospital or, you know, you know, you'd think I'd be scared of screens, talking to a screen, but they're supposed to elevate you. We're supposed to be gaining social capital. And you look up social capital. We're not meant to be freaking social credit or social justice or social freaking anti-hate speech or something, you know, or social responsibility, you know. No, no. Those are things that are going to enslave us. There will be no minimum wage. There will be no living wage. There will be no frigging anything but frigging quiet, happy, joy, frigging Chinese work camp, frigging obedience. You ready for that? I'm glad I'm not my children's age, or you know, whatever children I'm supposedly have, you know, or what it's going to be like freaking 3 or 4 generations down the road. I don't know. It's like somebody in World War One looking at freaking the Cold War. Really? Really? That's what I fought for? That's what I've died in trenches for? Friggin' nuclear annihilation? I guess the future always looks darker. You know, and then people who look at the trade-off, they're just like, oh, I don't know, what's your problem? Yeah. I support frigging neoconservative frigging corporatism, don't you? So, yeah. That's why I'm a civic nationalist. And when I think of kiosk totalitarianism or the nanny state freaking fascism tyranny, there's a saying I say after one of my favorite Pink Floyd songs. Welcome to the machine. Listen to the lyrics of that. We're heading into a dystopian nightmare, or so it seems. And as a civic nationalist, I want that social capital so we could be egalitarian and raise ourselves up, not push ourselves down. That's what it means to me. Yeah, that's what it means to me.